Thank you for tuning into our podcast, Canal Days, What Life is Like in the Industrial Connecticut River Valley of Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, and joining us today is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Kuma. He personally offers and leads public and private tours, as well as presentations of historical sites within communities throughout the state of Massachusetts. Currently, the communities that he focuses on this year are Holyoke, Chicopee, South Hadley, and East Hampton, and also Granby and Amherst as well. His tours spotlight on the local canals, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as parks, streets, and selected historical houses within each community. In today's episode, we will be discussing General Electric. So, when did General Electric, GE, come to Holyoke?
Alright, General Electric came to Holyoke in the 1930s. It's a plant that would make obviously electrical parts, electrical equipment. It would make the small parts that would make bigger equipment, and also the full equipment. You can buy a toaster from them, or you can buy a capacitor, right? You can buy little circuits, or you can buy giant materials that actually do something. So it's quite a company. It still exists, of course, in the United States. They have moved around and they have several plants around, but they're not around Holyoke anymore. Now, what we're going to talk about was what production was like at this mill and whether they polluted in Holyoke and what General Electric is best known by the older people of Holyoke, because they had something special that a lot of people around Holyoke know about. All right, so what they made and what they employed hundreds of people. I'm not saying it was a very safe plant, but they were located on Sargent Street next to Main Street. They were away from most other things. They were located between the second and third level canal, and thus used canal water for some of their power. The building is no longer there. This is an empty lot, and no one ever came in to replace it. Their location was where the former Far Alpaca mill number 2 was. And now, we're going to talk about what production was like at the plant and also about pollution. But remember, all these things are my opinion.
And what was production like at that plant?
All right, the production of the plant was segregated by room, and on the different floors they didn't repeat anything. So every room in the place was for different production of whatever they were making, whether it was capacitors, induction coils, magnets, electricity circuits, or finished products like toasters or refrigerators, so forth. And thus, there was no overall driving force like a paper or fiber mill. You'd have mass production on a grand scale. Here, it was a much smaller scale by need. Now, that doesn't happen as much anymore because even that has moved into mass production. And so you don't find here the great mass production like in Holyoke, but it has moved onwards and has become very mass produced.
And really quick, before we continue with our interview, just to fill our listeners in, to find out more information, or if you're interested in signing up for any of his various tours, check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org. And there you can find videos and podcasts of the stops along each of his tours, as well as photos and text of the historical sites as well. And for private tours and other inquiries, you can email him directly at bobcat4214B@yahoo.com. And his tours make for fun, educational outdoor activities for families and group parties. So getting back to our interview, GE polluted a lot on both the Hudson and Housatonic rivers. Did they pollute in Holyoke?
Yes, it probably did, and it's probably in the soil under where that former plant is, probably in the second and third level canal, at least around that area, but it's not obvious. So it's a brownfield. No one has ever tested in this area, so they don't know. So it thus it stays a brownfield. The pollutant would be called PCBs, which are polychlorinated biphenyls, and they're quite dangerous. But no one knows exactly if they really did pollute in Holyoke for sure. So everything I'm saying about that is just suggestion. Um, and for that reason, no one wants to build there either. There are a couple other brownfields in Holyoke, one behind the modern day computer center. That was changed over into a nice grass field behind there, but no one touched it. And there's another one near the former Perkins wire mill. But these are just brownfields suspected of having pollutants. This could be the worst area. And there's even suggestions they might have polluted other places in Holyoke, but no one knows for sure. So, um, as long as you don't want to build there, you don't have to do anything about it.
And what is the GE in Holyoke best known for?
All right, they're best known for having a big Santa Claus sleigh ride atop their building. I think the building was 3 stories high. They would have a giant Santa Claus display during the month of December, and adults would bring their kids in the car down there to see it. It was all lit up because General Electric makes electrical products. It was all lit up, and they liked it because they can allow people to see it. It was great public relations, and the kids love it because it was gigantic. It was probably 20 feet high and a great display. Lights everywhere. Now, when they moved out of Holyoke, of course, they never had a display again. But from the 1930 until about the late 1960s, kids would love seeing that gorgeous display. There are pictures around the internet of it. I don't know if GE still does such around the nation, but it was pretty cool.
And thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours and historical topics of your expertise. And we want to thank our listeners for tuning in. And check out a large selection of our other podcasts at his website,